Hello, very warm greetings and good evening from Cambridge. It is a pleasure to open up this dialogue today. Amidst it all, can we reimagine a beautiful world? Actually implies that the world is not beautiful, but reimagine, that's a very interesting word. Perhaps we have a reference for beauty that we must have experienced, and certainly a longing to connect to something that perhaps we've missed. So this is a dialogue. This is involving everyone. Your questions, your thoughts are really valuable for this discussion. So you're most welcome to share that in the chat, and also to come into camera if you're in a position to, would be really nice. It just creates that feeling of sitting in the same metaphorical living room. And we also have Spanish group with us, so it's a warm welcome. If you want to share in the chat where you're connecting from, that would be lovely. So this, is it a crisis or is it an opportunity aspect that comes up with this topic? So we'll be looking at a spiritual view. And this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt came up in this for me. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And so I felt that it somehow felt very powerful. But at the same time, there's a voice in me that doesn't want to just delude myself. Is it the dream? Am I living in reality, or am I just living in a dream? So looking forward to how this develops. So we're going to introduce two of the main speakers. Toots, which is got a story in itself, her name, has been practicing Raj Yoga, I think, for 25 years, or probably more now. She's also a mother and working in an inner city London school, supporting their mental, emotional needs, social needs of children there. And Isnelle is background is in human resources and currently working in a construction company. And very beautiful story how she came across spirituality in a small farm when she was 21. One of those amazing occurrences in life, very chance occurrence. And she moved to the center of Brahma Kumaris in Geneva in Switzerland 13 years ago. So I'm going to hand over now to, maybe we first start with Toots. Toots is the one who came up with this subject, this topic. And let's hear your thoughts. Possibly you need to just give a little wipe on your camera. I don't know, it looks a little, or maybe you're just in such a glow of the sun. It looks a bit blurry.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, that's really good.
Got it. Lovely.
A
That's
warm
super.
welcome, Toots. Let's hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening. Good evening to you. Hi, Isnelle. Lovely to see you. And welcome to everyone who's in this lovely, cozy living room together, all tight and close together, which is lovely. I can feel everyone's presence. It's beautiful. So yeah, what a topic, really. And I think the one word is imagine, and then what's round it, you know, amidst it all, can we? And as Sarah mentioned, can we reimagine, which is a very interesting perspective to put on it. Maybe some of you or everyone has listened to Deepak Chopra, the spiritual guru in America, talk about how the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, or it's probably known by many others as well. But I heard him speak recently on this, and he talks about imaginal cells. That are within the blueprint of the caterpillar, that start to really move when the caterpillar then goes into the pupa form, but then everything else just goes to goo. So the body and everything, but these imaginal cells then really start to move and develop and then once everything is ready at the right opportune moment, when there's also enough friction, the butterfly develops, and that exquisite beautiful creature appears and flies, but it all happens before it actually bursts through the shell of the pupa. And in many ways, I think it not only is a wonderful analogy for us individually, because possibly many of us are on the call this evening are interested in self-development, are interested in spirituality, are interested in the power of our thinking and our thoughts and our feeling, and how we can transform them. And we're tapping into something that's somehow there inside us. In Raj Yoga, we talk about redeveloping soul consciousness, and that sense of soul, that sense of self, as first and foremost the being of great beauty, is, and that is the blueprint of the self. And beauty, we're talking about goodness. We're talking about there's a place inside that's free from weight. It's just light. And when I'm in touch with that place, then I think from that place and I feel from that place. And yet the weight within us sort of holds us down and holds us in the midst of it all here, and in all the complications of our lives here and our interactions, etc. Yet deep inside us, there's that notion. I mean, for example, why is it that that one song, Imagine, you know, John Lennon's Imagine, it hits through all the layers that most of us have got on top about things not working and being difficult, and you know, all that weighted, heavy consciousness that we can move around in at this time, because that's what appears all around us. And yet in a song, in a feeling, we can touch something just so meaningful and true inside us that feels just light. It just feels beautiful. So we can do it individually. And the practice of meditation helps us to not just reimagine, rediscover, re-explore, and feel and sense that beauty that is deep inside the self. So sweet feelings, quiet mind, the freedom from sort of heavy emotion, and also the freedom from the exchange in relationships of reactivity, because often, you know, where the beauty is in relationships. So individually, yes, but then, you know, let's look at the bigger picture. Is that really possible in the midst of all of what is thunderingly, seemingly like going in the completely opposite direction of really on so many levels more pain, as a consequence of more violence, and not just violence in terms of military violence, which we're seeing massive amounts of, and political violence, but actually again back to this place of relationship. There appears to be, when we check in with what we're hearing about, but yes, that's what we hear about out there. But I think also what strikes me in today's world is that we hear about all of this, and yes, we feel it, and we may, you know, we've got our own sorrows, but we also see the continuum, the spirit, the human spirit just keeps on coming up with something creative, something beautiful, yet it feels like it just needs re-empowering. It needs support. It needs to lean on a greater power, and that's what as meditators we do, lean into that and feel it and take support from it to hold those imaginal cells and to let those imaginal cells just keep working and keep opening up the sort of neuro capability inside the mind to see the possibility that just is real, and it's reimagined. So the blueprint is already there. I think I've probably spoken enough, Sarah, just as some opening words. Is that about right?
It's lovely and it's quite poetic. I think we could make a poem from it, in fact. And lovely reference to John Lennon, which is true, it subconsciously speaks. And of course, the butterfly analogy, which grounds it in something very, very practical, place that is free from weight, this very special feeling. So let's maybe come to Geneva and hear your thoughts. What comes up for you on this subject? And it's a very warm welcome to Isnelle. Good evening.
Good evening, Sarah, and all of you. It's a pleasure to be connected again with Cambridge group. So I think I get a message from you, Sarah, WhatsApp. Are you agree? And it was just one word, imagine. So as he spoke about the song of John Lennon, and so I said, oh, it's nice, imagine. So immediately it came in my mind, this song. And yes, a very beautiful subject, because I really think that today we need to bring something in our mind to keep our happiness, because we can see everything is more complicated everywhere. I think it's one of my first time I can go to supermarket and sometimes I can find what I want because it's not available in the supermarket. 1 year ago, we couldn't imagine that in Geneva, in Switzerland, it was impossible. And so we can see many situations who don't please the heart and the mind. People who have sorrow, some difficulties. And on the other side, when we want to be qualified as spiritual person, we know we need to look at in a different way. We can't just look at with our own eyes just what happened, and otherwise we would become very negative. And so I am a person very pragmatic. Do you know, I don't like to just, yes, we can write a song and sing the song and the paradise will come. If it has been so easy, I think many people would have done before. And we could see so many leaders on the last century, some that we know in our university, who had been very example of peace, and they had this vision in their mind of something more beautiful. And when we could see with all these yogis, who now most of them left, they were very old. In fact, they were in this world, but what they do was connected with the world that they want, what they want to create. They want a monde of peace, so they were peaceful. They wanted a world of love, so they were loving. They wanted a world of abundance, and they were full of abundance. So what they wanted, they made in their life. Happily, I met this school of Brahma Kumaris. Otherwise, I think I already told you before meeting Brahma Kumaris, I said, or I will become a nun, or I will become terrorist. I didn't see other possibility in my life, because I was not satisfied with the society of today and so much injustice. And is what I could see, how seriously many people try to bring in their life what they wanted. They didn't ask from other ones. They didn't ask for respect. They didn't ask for love. They didn't ask for abundance. What they wanted, they apply in their life. And for me, the first step to imagine something better, it's not egoist, but I have to imagine for myself what I want to my life for in my life. So I'm responsible for myself. I can ask to the president, I can't ask to the queen, I can ask to the minister or to the church to give me what I want. And something is missing today. Is many people think the other one are responsible of their happiness, of their love and their financial situation. And I can see how I have the possibility to attract what I want and what I believe. When I believe I'm a bad one, I can tell you people, they will not speak to me in a good way. I remember once, maybe I already shared this story. I was very not well in my mind this day, the day it was a long time ago, and with a lot of negative thoughts, a lot. Do you know what happened? A bird, I don't remember, the one you have in the city. I know in Trafalgar Square you have a lot in London. Pigeon, like in French.
Yeah.
Do you know what the pigeon did? He made his on my head. And I had everywhere, like on my face, the poo, or I don't know how you explain in English, the poo of the pigeon on my head and everywhere. I was in the city. And at that moment, I laughed. I said, it's what I have created. And I couldn't attract today better than that. I was thinking only negative. And so I attracted the poo of the pigeon of my head. And I can laugh because I can see how much power I can have in my life. What I think, I get it. Sometimes it can ask years, but definitely what I imagine, I will create it. So if I work honestly every day to create a world of peace, of compassion, of brotherhood, definitely I will get it. Because it's the karma. We speak so much about the karma in here. And but it's necessary to invest a lot of energy. I can't just read book. I can't just sing a song to speak about that. I just really need to do something for my life, to take a decision, to change deeply my style of life, my way of speaking, my way of thinking. And it's not easy because every day I have to start again. It's not only one day. For the last 28 years or 29, I try every day to do something better in my life. But I can see still many things has to be changed. But it's the first step to imagine a new world. So I don't know, Sarah, I think I have used my time too.
Thank you. Yes, so we could listen on, but it's a nice time to pause. It's very interesting, the things you brought up, and this point that if it was easy, would have been done before. So that kind of brings some thoughts and questions, and well, wonderful to see the examples of leaders, and of course, Gandhi's be the change you want to see in the world, which is what you're really highlighting. So I don't know if you have questions or comments for each other, but I did have a question that perhaps, feel free, either of you, to pick up or discuss. What is the role of spiritual understanding in this process of being, and what is that change? What is the, excuse me, the spiritual vision that you're working towards, that you are, the vision of change that you want to see, perhaps starting with the self? I hope the question is clear. Don't know if either of you want to pick that one up.
Isnelle?
No, you can go.
Before I get to that, Sarah, can I just comment that I really enjoyed listening to that, Isnelle, about this real pragmatic responsibility for the self, and being able to see it for the self, that, whatever I'm creating, I'm absolutely getting the result of. And I think that message is getting through to humanity, not just on an individual basis, not necessarily just the souls who are on a spiritual journey, although I think ultimately we all are. But it's getting through to everyone. I mean, the big way it's getting through is the whole climate understanding that, and the sense that it is our responsibility individually, but I think also there is a collective element to this whole subject, that yes, I am responsible and I will do what I can in the corner that I'm in, and become more aware and clear and stronger, which is what I'm answering the question, in a sense that spiritually I re-establish my sense of self in a beautiful place, because then the thinking, the feeling, everything will move from there, and it does move from there, and there's sweetness in that, but it's not easy, because it's a rise, and it's quite a steep rise, and therefore we do need support. I think it's one thing to be able to take full responsibility for the self and see, but sometimes that doesn't actually help me rise. It gives me clarity, but I don't feel then the shifting. I'm not the imaginal side is still not yet working, and I feel that with Raj Yoga, what it offers me, what it offers us, is this extraordinary presence, higher power, whatever language we use, whatever sound we use for this one, it's actually about the living presence, the vibrations, the frequency of love, but and being able to take support and allow that presence to help me rise and see, a bit like the plane taking off and through the clouds, and you can't see much, and then you get up above the clouds and wow, look, the blue sky and the beauty. But you need a plane needs a huge amount of petrol and energy and everything to get it there, and yes, we can use the petrol of our own mind to a certain degree, but it's as though we also need to plug in and charge up to this higher presence, and this higher thought level that is always working, and collectively I think we know it, and we can tap into this one individually. Yes, we can come to know it and experience, but I think also the human spirit collectively deep down, because it is it's a reimagining, it knows it underneath all the gravitas and gravity and we have a word in spirituality called entropy, which is, you know, everything goes from order to chaos, everything goes from new to old, and that is the heavy energy pulling us down. It pulls us down our thinking, it pulls us down our relationships, many different ways. But yet underneath that, there is also the propensity to rise. And we, you know, with meditation, spirituality, that's what I feel, well, that's what I'm doing personally, but I can also feel it collectively. And then that gathers strength. And this dream that, yes, it can be just a song, but also it's a song that's been sung for centuries and centuries and centuries by different cultures in different places, by different people at different moments. This song of yearning, of a world of sweetness and happiness and just ease. So the possibility of it has lingered through people's minds, even when the reality in the moment seems a long way from it. I don't know whether that answers your question, Sarah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's an exploration on this. And it'd be interesting to see what Isnelle is picking up in general.
Could you repeat, Sarah, the question? Because question in English, I have all time problem to memorize.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's basically like you were pointing towards, like, be the change you want to see in the world, in a sense, with these leaders. And so, since the context of this discussion is our spiritual experiences and journey, what is the vision that perhaps you're working towards, like the change within your understanding of spirituality that we are bringing? And I guess it's also starting with the self. Is it like being able to be in this world and stay in that higher space that Toots was talking about, so you're able to bring happiness and not take the sorrow? Because just to give an example, if someone is experiencing their mourning family friend, or if you also start to take that sorrow, then we can't reimagine anything better together. So we can sometimes love and support more when we're not taking that sorrow. So maybe that's a spiritual aim. Or so I wonder if there's what is the vision you have, and perhaps the understanding that perhaps allows this to happen. I hope it makes sense.
It's very interesting what you say, Sarah, because yesterday I was in front of one situation, and many we have been shocked to receive one mail from someone who was really full of anger. And I couldn't sleep, honestly, before midnight. I was so shocked. And another person told me I couldn't sleep of the night. I think all of us, we were so surprised to get a message with so much anger. And but what happened? Yes, I couldn't sleep, it's true, but I understood. I understood through what the person goes. And so I don't have any bad feeling for this person. I was just shocked, so I didn't have the stage to be able to sleep well. But at least I didn't have any bad thoughts about what this person wrote yesterday. It was not against me. I was just witness of a conflict with two persons. So happily, I was not concerned, but just. But because I understood the problematic of this person, I could have a compassion. I could be without a judgment. And today we are in a society. We want instant result, understanding. We want information. We go to internet. We go to Wikipedia. We go to YouTube, and we think we know. But what we could see, how it is important to study to study, to go deeply inside, to know us and know others very well. So when I have a very good understanding of everything, I will not take sorrow. I will not look at what happened today in the society. I will just go behind, and I will be able to look forward, to see after what my physical eyes are able to see. I will be able to look at with his third eyes and to see something else. If I just look at with my eyes today, honestly, I will cry every day because I see only injustice. I see only bitterness. I see only jealousy. But I try to keep these eyes open and just look at all the games and to go beyond and just remember everything has a meaning. Everything is here for a reason. Everything is here to listen, to learn something. And so I can imagine something. And today we are too straight. Just, I believe what I see with my eyes. I believe what I hear with my ears. And it doesn't happen like that. It's not the truth. The truth is the one that I can see with my spiritual eyes. Otherwise, I can't imagine a better world. I can't imagine to have a beautiful relation because I'm too limited. And I think if I want to be a leader, if I want to be someone who inspires others, I just need to go beyond and to look at things in a different way. And the first quality, I think, to have a patience, to be patient. Everything will come, but at this perfect moment.
Beautiful. Patience. Can I come in, Sarah? I was just picking up Isnelle what you were sharing about this, this moving from from beyond the five senses, you know, from this from the spiritual sense. And I was thinking the other day that, you know, in a way, developing a spiritual outlook and a spiritual take on what's going on now, on our own lives, never mind those of those immediately around us and those beyond. But it's as we do this, we in a strange way, I've been feeling that it's like inhabiting a parallel universe, because there is this vision of the dream of the beautiful world, recreating it each day, cleaning out each day what doesn't comply to that, in a sense, and stuff comes up, you know, the old pops up, the weight comes up, the irritation comes up, whatever it is, negativity emerges in the mind. But to keep, you know, with the spiritual practice, releasing that and moving more and more into that place of light, that spiritual space, it feels then, you know, both of us, we're working in the world here, and I'm sure most of the souls are on their comfy sofas in the sitting room here together are too. But you know, the world is demanding. I work in a fairly demanding school, in a city school, with children with very little English, with many other languages, predominantly Arabic, but children who have witnessed a huge amount in just their short lives. And so I was with a child this afternoon who was in a crisis, because she had been in listening to a training on knife crime. And, you know, this was a young man who came in to talk. He was only about 21, and he came in to talk to 10-year-olds about how they can help themselves keep themselves safe. because of knife crime. And knife crime is very real, where we in the streets around where the school is and where we are. And most of the children were okay. They could deal with it, they could context it, but this child completely had a crisis because of the fear, and that it's all around and what have you. So it was quite interesting because I sat down with her and listened to her, and let her share. And then she just suddenly sort of came out of all that crisis and looked at me and just says, "Oh, it's okay, really, isn't it? Actually," and she just said, "There's none of that going on right here in this room with you and me, is there?" I said, "No, that's right." And I just thought that was, then obviously the conversation developed, and she was able to find that place of peace again inside herself. And to start, I gave her just some affirmations to tell herself all will be well. Very simple one. I am well, I am safe in this moment and the next moment and the next moment, and I've got a safe space inside me that I'll keep coming back to. There's a beautiful space inside me that I'll keep coming back to. And she danced off. But children can fluctuate very quickly and move from one space internally to another very fast. I think as we get older, to a certain extent we lose that capacity, but I also think with spiritual practice we can regain that capacity quite quickly and even extend it a lot further. That yes, the mind can get very quickly entrapped and involved and wrapped up, but just as quickly actually we do have the possibility and the ability to pull ourselves out and just to actually really get real with just the moment, just the very moment that we're in right now, and that's okay.
It's beautiful to have the example and real experience, and showing perhaps the way, holding that space where we don't feed the fear by just holding that kind of vision. So that's Isnelle wants to respond, or
no, it was very nice to listen this sharing, and I think we have a huge responsibility to give inspiration. I think people look at us, we are not aware, but we are all-time example for someone. And it was yesterday, I had a conversation, yesterday, one conversation with someone, and she had some complaint, and I just tell one sentence, just like that. And this evening, she told me, you know, you were right. And I said, but for what? For what you told me yesterday? And in fact, I didn't remember what I have said. And she said, yes, you told me that. And in fact, she thought after, and she said, you were right. And it helped her a lot because it was for a huge decision in her life. And I think when we have a serious, when we invest our time in a serious way in a spiritual path, it becomes natural in our way of thinking to absorb the silence and the peace, the wisdom. And after what we tell, what we show, we are an inspiration for someone, and we can help them to grow up. We can help them to perceive something new. And I don't need to make a conference. I don't need to do, just to be authentic. I can drink the coffee with my colleague and I tell something they couldn't expect. And after they think, they change something. So we have a huge responsibility to help others to imagine something new. And so you are so lucky, Toots, because you are with a child. And I think a child, they're very innocent and very vulnerable, so they can't get inspiration from you, and they will keep them all their life. So they are lucky to be with you.
Yes, I give thanks. It's a great fortune to work in a school, because also there's that sense that they're places of study, and everyone's a student, and I'm just as much a student and as the child, or any children, and also within schools there's always this notion to, allow children to dream and to keep them dreaming. And I'm again very fortunate to be with a team that really do hold that sense. Again, we're in the middle of London, we're in a very deprived area, we've got children coming from all sorts of fairly horrendous situations, and have witnessed and experienced a lot, but the aim is to create a space that is a sanctuary, but also a place of huge creativity where that can awaken again in children. It's made me realize that, all of us, it's not just what we'd say souls in little bodies, but all of us, as spiritual beings, we've got this massive power of creativity within us, which is, to create beauty, and as you mentioned at the beginning, Isnelle, to really generate what you want to see, but in yourself, and be it, and it is just, as you mentioned also, it's just in those little moments of, having a cup of tea with someone and being with them, and sharing yourself with them and being available. I'm realizing that more and more as I get older, that actually what is needed is available, especially in the context of children, but I think all of us, and for the self as well, to make myself completely available, first of all, to me, to that beautiful place inside, and to really stoke that availability and feel the freedom that generates in the mind, but also to be available.
Just want to remind you to slow down a little bit, Toots.
Sorry. Yes, Ricardo, apologies. But yes, this sense of availability, I think is quite profound. And when the mind is caught up mentally, emotionally, we lose that availability very quickly, and yet we can just as easily recreate it. And I feel in my connection and my study and my practice, and feeling that presence, that supreme presence, that's exactly what that one does, is available there, allowing us, any soul, to re-establish its connection with the divine, the higher power, whatever language again we wish to use, but that presence that is just completely free from all the sorrow, all the weight that human minds have generated for so very long. And that availability from that one to us, but also then our availability with our beautiful self, if you like, it becomes real, and then we can extend that. And it's a quiet thing, it's finding that quiet space inside. It's feeling the sweetness of the moment. It's being with another and feeling their sweetness in interaction. And that's what generates more of that vibration. And yeah, it's not things on a platform, or it's not any big things in a way. It's the little moments that I spend at home just pottering about, but in my mind I'm just sitting in a sweet place. That's generating that atmosphere. Also then the imaginal, because I think the imaginal cells as such, the subtle sort of spiritual vision that we've all got the blueprint of, they get activated, they get lit up when again there's space. That's my experience, more and more with the self, but I see it when I work with others too, or just be with others.
I think there's this aspect that the range of possibilities in the human soul is completely underestimated, and that what I think Isnelle was also saying, that actually others can pick it up, the what's really in them. That's what inspires the process. So this came, and I think in the philosophy, in a reading this morning, which really touched my heart. It said the place which is like when there is perfection in this world, it's when there's not a single person in the world that experiences a single thought of sorrow. And, you know, it's like
completely clear.
Yeah, just like dropping that even thought of a possibility, because I think we might feel ourselves we've, you know, created this, but then we get quickly pulled down by others' sorrow to even conceive. And I guess for me, it's rooted in this spiritual clarity that we are, as you said, free from weight, and that we are travelers in this world of matter, and that when the physical body has its end date, but there is a continuity of experience, in that we cannot take an atom with us, so we are guests and travelers. So there's that lightness, that's the free from weight, and that seems we are tuning into something. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. There's a question in the chat as well. How can we frame this to a community? So I don't know if Isnelle has any thoughts. So we might feel we've brought it for ourselves, but how to illustrate the practice or bring it to society or a community. So that's not too big a question.
I'm not sure to understand very well the question, but what I can see in one side, our organization, but other organizations, they offer many workshops, many retreats, many lectures on a very beautiful subject. But at what moment, no one can do for myself, do you know? I can listen all the lecture, but if I don't open my eyes, I can integrate in my life. So maybe our responsibility is to share all the tools that we have, but after what the people do with the tools, it doesn't belong to us. You know, we see with our eyes, we have the nose in the middle of the face and we didn't see it. We need to make a lot of exercise to see our nose. And it means it's very hard to remove our blindness. And I think the best thing that we can offer and to help and how to frame is to help the people to see their nose, to become aware about what creates sorrow and agitation in their life. After, each one has to do his own work. No one can do for myself.
You have an expression in English, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Perhaps you can say in French. Be lovely to hear from Toots what comes up from this exploration.
Yeah, I absolutely all the way, Isnelle, on that. And you know, the realizations, they come from inside. And again, yes, I can study and I can learn and I can direct and what have you, but it's when the feelings start to rise, really, that the experiences come, that trust and faith, that place, that dream for the self, but also dream, I think, collectively too. And you know, it feels like humanity in a way is the ostrich, if you like, at the moment, and it's still got its head buried in sand. Yet everyone knows, sort of deep down in a way, but it's so buried treasure, in a sense, underneath so many layers of memory and experience and weight. And I think we can't take another horse to the water and tell it to drink and it will. So, and that's not our job to, but I think it is to, you know, those that are picking up the signals subtly, if not, you know, through a leaflet, but subtly they're picking them up in whatever world they're in. That somehow the atmosphere, and that's why I was talking about parallel universe earlier, because yes, we've got this heavy weighted atmosphere, but also this deeper intuitive sense that it's okay, that, you know, the deep sense of hope that's underneath it. It's not about what's going on today, but it's just about the spirit, and that it sees something. You know, why do we all keep living, for one, if if we didn't have some sense of that? And okay, I know unfortunately many think that the way out of pain is to not to, and that's a tragedy. But generally, you know, it amazes me as a witness so often, through my experience, when you do hear stories, when you do meet people, when, you know, firsthand you have an experience, how something within you and in the spirit of humanity just somehow can push on through, can sense that continuum. And I think it is just sensing a continuum, that it keeps going. And I think the job, I know job for me in terms of studying spirituality is to just get really aligned to that, personally. And the more aligned I can, the freer I become. But also then, you know, that I'm adding to the collective. I think that's all I can say in that direction, which subtly can support and help others where they need to just pick up a signal or be able to just move through a massive barrier, resistance. At the same time, bringing it back to the self, yes, it's seeing the resistances within the self every day, and also just releasing them. Whether it's, you know, seeing my nose every day, but seeing what I'm avoiding, what isn't truly aligned with the blueprint within the self and the bigger story.
Yeah, it's nice, and there's just more awareness all the time, as I was saying, like, what is it that creates the sorrow? And then when we understand it, it doesn't. We've broken the spell.
Yes, lovely.
So encouraging when we see these incremental shifts and start to bring that vision. There's a question, maybe the last question that we have time for, that if either of you would like to share on, although you have touched on this. How does the creation of a beautiful world happen amidst of it all on a daily level, for instance, at work? So actually, you both kind of touched on it, but if there's something that you want to bring to add, because it sort of triggers then for us in that everyday sense.
I think for many people, the workplace is not an easy place because we don't choose our colleague. But we have the colleague that we need for our transformation. So I can tell you, so they are the best colleagues. And I think we need to have a bigger vision, because it can be very difficult. We can have the feeling to lose our time, but they are here just to help us to become stronger. They help us every day to check the self and to change. And I could see a miracle in my transformation, miracle on people. Maybe they don't change, but at least I'm not. I don't lose my happiness. I don't lose my stage, and I can see how it is beneficial. So there is a good reason to go at work, honestly, because they are my best teacher. And even if I don't see, I can see how some people are take something, and I need to keep a high stage of self-respect and be aware that I can change atmosphere. And I could see last week, we in our office, we have a very good atmosphere. And one person from another office arrived, and she was very aggressive, and she was with us for half a day. And I said, it's not possible. She can stay here. She's so negative. She speaks high. She don't speak well. She's very agitated. And I know her, and I said, oh, if I tell something, she will be more angry. So stay silent. And I could see after 2 hours, she was speaking very with a lot of calm to the people at phone. She was walking in a better way, and we didn't do anything. All of us, we just stay silent because she was the one who disturbed the atmosphere. And so we just stay silent. And with the silence, we could change the atmosphere. So miracles arrive everywhere, but for me, work is more my best teacher for my transformation, and I took for that.
Wonderful example. Yeah, just to add to that, really, just I think, they say what is in the way is the way. in a similar sense that we can't create a fluffy world around us right now, but what we can do, and it is through, as Isnelle mentioned, it's just through our shifting all the time our own attitude, and shifting and changing and releasing and just staying light, that completely transforms my own experience wherever I am, whether it's in the workplace, I'm in the tube station at 5:30 on a hot sweaty day, wherever it is, just where we find ourselves. But it's just to keep that sense of attention on how am I reacting, and how could I learn from this moment and respond from that quiet place inside. And then just seeing the magic of the transformation of my own experience in those moments. And that actually is the molecules, if you like, of recreating, reimagining, amidst it all, a more beautiful world, because the experiences that I'm having are beautiful. It's not the outside present all sorts of triggers, but it's what I'm learning inside and how I'm creatively dealing with that, and what's opening up in my mind and my consciousness at any given moment, that is going to really transform and shift things.
It's a little bit of a goosebump moment when you were speaking there, just this so empowering, and it feels like we all want that. It's just that we don't think it or have lost touch somehow. But in what you were sharing, it's if we're showing a pathway consciously or subconsciously that just allows that to come in to the fore. So really beautiful. So I see we've come to time, and this almost feels like a few seeds have been planted, and almost would be lovely to have a workshop together afterwards to go into it more. But perhaps in the time we have, I wonder if Isnelle would be happy to share perhaps 2 or 3 minutes of some meditation commentary, and then we'll close. So over to yourself.
I sit peacefully. I go deeply inside, in silence. And I visualize in front of me my perfect world, my perfect relations with people, with nature. I visualize this perfection that I want. I imagine how it is. And I keep in my mind this image of perfection. And slowly I walk in this new world, in my perfection. Where everything is perfect, everything is beautiful. And I bring in myself this beauty, this greatness. And I make mine. What I see, I become. I make the imagination my reality. I become this image of perfection. In my vision, in my thoughts, in my words, in my action. And I get the point where there is any more difference between reality and my imagination. I am what I imagine, a very elevated person, full of compassion for the self. Full of benevolence. I am that. I interact with myself and with others in this way. I become this reality. It's not anymore in my dream. It's my new personality. And everything from the past is behind. All my limitation, all my beliefs, all my obstacles. I'm free from all of that. I'm like an angel of peace. Light. Om Shanti.
Shanti, thank you. Very beautiful, and wanting to let that energy hold in the air, in the atmosphere, so that we take it with us very naturally. So, a lot of appreciation for this opportunity to have this space, and in the chat response, very thought-provoking. Absolutely. I'm going to just put in the chat if anyone is inspired to listen again. It will be on the In the Space channel, and there's courses if you're not already connected and you would like to look into some of the ideas. So we're going to share about the talk in a couple of weeks, but just want to extend the thanks very much to both Isnelle and Toots and everyone, and Ricardo on translation. So we'll see.
Thank you.
We'll connect again soon, and this topic in 2 weeks may be a nice way to continue on this. The inner power, the secret of inner power. We'll be joined by Eggles, who is based in a retreat venue in Worthing, and he will share his own practical experience and experiments on this. Some lovely comments in the chat, so we'll leave the call open for a couple of minutes if anyone would like to add anything. Otherwise, see you all soon. Thank you.